I want to call the meeting, the annual Orchard Ridge United Church of Christ annual meeting to order. It looks like we have a quorum. And I'm going to start with this prayer. Loving God, we give thanks for this day and this dedicated time to grow together and reflect on the life of our church. Gather us in and help us to listen and look deep within ourselves and each other to discover the beauty and gifts each of us possess. We are grateful for the many opportunities ORUCC has for each of us to serve you, this church, and each other. We give thanks for the talents and skills of our lay leadership, staff, and pastors. In the light of your love, may we see what matters most, what is important to hold on to, and what we can simply let go of in peace. Open us to the direction of the Holy Spirit, and let us never forget the abundant love you have for us, this church, your world. Breathe in us the wonder of your love. Amen. I want to welcome everyone to this annual meeting. We are meeting in person, which feels so wonderful. And we are also live streaming, so I want to welcome whether you are here or here in spirit. And I also wanted to mention that Sue Dixon has a Zoom room open, there she is over there, and will be monitoring that for questions and comments, but I also encourage all of you here to lift up any questions or comments. I especially want to welcome our new members who joined ORUCC in 2022, Becky Bombach, Tom Bielman and Diane Doolin, Julia Berkey and Daniel Cooperwriter, Cindy Fillingame, Barbie Jackson, Kurt and Peg Canuvy, Sarah Canuvy, Julia Lawrence, Colleen McHenry, Susie Petta, Manuel Ramiger, Jenny and Greg Stiles, and Barb Wells. And I also want to welcome our new members by confirmation this past April, Josie Gasser, Jaden Gilbert, Josie Gilbert, John Alejos, and Amalia Sherrill. And we acknowledge the members we lost by death this year, Edith Arney, Stan Heffernan, Vicki May, and Jack Christian. The agenda is on page 3 of the annual report, and I think I need a motion to adopt the agenda.
So moved.
Marv, thank you. And a second? John Blanchard, are you seconding? Okay. Yes, we have questions or discussions. Would you like to?
I would like to have us consider a motion. I would like to have us consider a motion to move to a mask optional for our church, starting whenever it's decided.
Okay, so you want to add that to the agenda?
Yeah, please. Okay,
let's add that discussion after the treasurer's report for 2002, if that's okay. Okay. So now do we motion again? I need help with this part. We have a motion to approve the agenda, so we vote? Okay. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Great. The agenda is adopted with the new addition from John. The minutes of last year's annual meeting, are on page 4. I also need a motion to approve the minutes. Nancy, thank you. And a second? Was that Doug? Thank you, Doug. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? The minutes are approved. Moving into our words of gratitude for the work of our ministries, I just want to start by reiterating what I said in my report. I've been thinking these past few weeks about what is at our core. The members of ORUCC are its ministers. We come together to minister to ourselves, each other, and the wider world. You, as members and friends of ORUCC, are the true leaders of this church. I clearly see the engagement and efforts of us all in big and small ways, and I give thanks for this community. I especially want to call out some of these other teams. The COVID response team, led by Hal Evanson. We continue to meet, and we are planning to meet soon, to continue these discussions of how to best keep our community safe, even as this pandemic drags on. I want to thank the search committee for our new pastor for children, youth, and families. Thank you to its chair, Nancy Wetterson, and members Jerry Hagan, Susanna Lejos, Susan Jane Watson, Kristen Muckian, Josie Gilbert, and Josie Gasser. And Nancy will be giving a brief report later in the meeting. The tech team who raised money to keep our tech updated, including a new projector in Friendship Hall, as well as the hybrid technology in the Alfred Swan Room. I want to thank Gabe Martins for his infinite knowledge and expertise in not only identifying our tech needs, but also for installation of many of this new equipment. And Gabe also upgraded our computer and online security this past summer, which is key to keeping us all safe. Heartfelt gratitude to John Lemke. John does so much for ORUCC, and I give thanks for his leadership, wisdom, kindness, and generosity. And to moderator-elect Hal Evanson, who did an incredible job leading nominations this past fall. Hal is away celebrating his 30th anniversary with his beautiful bride, Anne, this weekend, and we give thanks for that. But he did send us a couple of videos, so we'll hear from him later in the meeting. Thank you to all the members of the leadership team who worked together so wonderfully this year and held so many questions and ideas about the future of our church. Thank you to Julie Mazer for her additional work as a children's education coordinator. What a gift she has been for us and our kids. Thank you to Julie Wambacher, who holds the office together so skillfully and with such care. We appreciate all that she brings to her work and her attention to all the details of running this church, including a watchful eye on our building. And finally, I want to thank our incredible pastors, Julia and Ken, who are our guides and our teachers, our friends and counselors, and our partners in our collective mission to be spiritually alive, joyfully inclusive, and committed to justice. Moving on to the reports from the pastors, moderator, clerk, and our ministry and mission teams, instead of going through them one by one, I'm going to add a few words to one of my reports and then ask Julia and Ken if they have anything they'd like to add, and then we can move on to comments and questions. There is a change I would like to make in the Human Resources Mission Team report on page 12. In it, I said that the team worked with Julia on the position description for the Children's Education Coordinator, but it's really more accurate to say that Julie Mazer developed that job description herself, and then it was sent to Julia and the team for approval. Julia and Ken, do you have anything you would like to add? Ken says no. Julia says
Well, first of all, Barb, it has been incredible to work with you. We've held weekly, most of the time, meetings, which is not an expectation that every moderator has, but she has been so steadfast and helped me feel so grounded and that I'm thriving and that the church is thriving. It's been a wonderful container just to process what's going on and to feel like we're leading together. So, Barb, thank you so much for your incredible work. And I know this is usually done at the end, but I just want to shower love on you right now, which is these flowers and gift basket that we have for you. So just gratitude for Barb. Barb, it's been so wonderful to work with you, and one of the mantras that Barb and I have almost every time we get off of our calls is we say, we're in a really good place. And we look at each other and we believe that. And so I want to share that with you, my feelings that we are in a really good place. This is a vibrant church. And culturally, the direction that church is going is not the way and the spirit that we feel at Orchard Ridge. There's dramatic decline and questions in the wider community and country about the future of church. And of course, we have those here. But there's so much goodness and life here. And one of the things that I just wanted to mention to you an area of focus that I'm really dedicated to is really helping maintain and uplift the youth and children's programming, and especially during a time where we don't have the third pastor, where Tammy's position is vacant, and we'll hear more about the search, but searches on average take about 2 years. My search for me wasn't even that long, and it felt like forever to us, right? So we're patient and we trust, but I just want to say how dedicated I am to making sure those programs happen, that we'll have confirmation this coming year, one way or another. And the all-church retreat, it was just such a joy for me to host that and be there with the families. And I've made every opportunity I can to kind of show up and be present at some of these events, like the bonfire and that we had in the fall, and the all-church retreat, and just trying to be a presence for the youth and the families. I also wanted to mention, we have Lent upon us. We had a little preview of Lent earlier, but I just wanted to give you some themes looking forward to the year to come. That one of the things I heard that this church has a strong passion around when I did the appreciative inquiry process this fall is welcome and hospitality, and the combination of hospitality and celebration and justice. And so for Lent, we are going to explore the theme of hospitality together. And then we're also going to have kind of a rigorous study of white Christian nationalism. And David Anderman, okay, so one of my favorite things about this church are all the retired clergy who I get to collaborate with, and Dave and Alice are two of them. And so David Anderman will be preaching next Sunday, sharing about this book study that we're having on Tuesday mornings during Lent, which will be virtual and in person, The Sins of White Christian Nationalism. And so in worship time, we might have some of those themes, but what we hope to do is be the alternative rather than study the enemy. We don't necessarily have enemies, right? But perhaps with values, there are certain things that this church and that the progressive church need to be in the world, the hosts, the hospitality, the justice seekers. So that's a bit about some Lenten themes that we have coming forward. And another piece that I just want to flag, when I came here, we had a communications person who really helped us think about the communications of the church and how we get the word out. And Margie was with us, but she's no longer with us. She left pretty soon after I got here. And we've just held the question of how do we do communications? And one of the focuses this year coming forward, I think, will be all the wonderful things that we have going on in the different areas of the church, finding ways to get the word out to one another. So this is a growing edge for us, being a little bit short-staffed in that way. So just want to say that this is a focus, and we could use as much help and direction as we can. And right now, Pam Oliver is single-handedly running our website. And so we give her great thanks, Pam. Thank you. And I think I'll leave it at that for now. I think this will be a wonderful year to come, and the transition that we've been going under with the staff transition is so normal, and change is normal. And I think this church, I've seen such resilience, the ability to not withstand, but to have great life and beauty and goodness in the midst of it. So great job, everyone, and let's keep it up.
Okay, let's move into accepting and approving the reports as written. Is there a motion? So moved. Thank you, Karen. And a second? Steve? Thank you, Steve. Any discussion or questions about any of these reports? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? The reports are approved and accepted. And now I'll invite John Day up, here he is, to talk about 2022 budget. Treasurer's report.
So, as I think you all are expecting, we are in great financial shape. Again, one of the wonderful things about Orchard Ridge is that we have no debt, and we have continuing revenues which are pretty close to what we spend. Last year, 2022, though, we fell behind a little bit. Our operating deficit was a little bit under $4,000. That is an actual change in the written treasurer's report, which said $5,200. We actually had a major change in the budget that happened just before this was printed, and Julie and I took out 3 pages out of each annual report that had been stapled. We unstapled and replaced them, so you have the updated version, except for that one little mistake. So anyway, I don't know if any of you are involved in other nonprofits, but the fact that we get over 99% of the pledges received, people pledge and then they actually pay their pledges. Thank you so much. I mean, that's great. And that happens, that continued to happen. We actually would have gotten over that. One 2022 pledge came in January. That's in the budget for next year's budget as a prior year pledge. We would have exceeded our pledge totals in 2022, but the calendar wasn't in our favor. So anyway, we had a small deficit this year. It was nowhere near as large as the deficit we projected. That was, of course, because we didn't fill the associate pastor position in 2022. Other questions, though, about the 2022 revenues or expenditures? Okay, that's all about 2022. Yeah. I will leave and then come back.
Do we need to approve the treasurer's report? I think we do. Motion to approve the treasurer's report, 2022 treasurer's report. Thank you, Marv. And a second? Al, thank you. The treasurer's report is approved. Okay, and this is where we said we would add in the mask question. And John, sorry, I forgot to vote. Sorry. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. The mask question. John, I wonder if you have more that you'd like to say about that, and we can start this discussion.
I would formally make a motion that we consider moving to mask optional for our church in the coming year.
Okay, so now I need a second. All right, Al? Okay, thank you. So now we can move into questions and discussion. Is there questions? Steve?
I can speak loud now. It doesn't contain a date. The motion doesn't contain a date, so I'm going to assume that it means immediately upon approval. Otherwise, we would need to amend it to include a date.
Okay. Immediately, is that, John, I think that's your intention. Okay. Yeah, David.
John, is a very reasonable suggestion. I think one thing that we could consider would be how to tie this into transmission rates in the community so that it might be flexible. My suggestion would be that the COVID response team will take this up as soon as possible with a meeting and get back to the congregation with a recommendation.
Okay, thank you. Dave.
It sounds like people are talking about, this is an actual motion. So if we pass it, it is the law. Whether or not the committee agrees with it is irrelevant at that point. So
I guess the suggestion would be to table the motion for the time being, and then we'll get back to the congregation.
Okay. and take it to COVID response team first?
I think the motion, John, was to consider. Is that correct? As I heard the motion is that we consider making us mask optional. And if I'm understanding that correctly, then it would be appropriate for the COVID response team to meet sooner rather than later to discuss it. Would that be acceptable to the maker of the motion?
Yes. I just don't want it to be delayed. And I feel that we are. I feel that our attendance is lower. It may not be because of that, but I certainly see a smaller attendance on a weekly basis.
I just wanted to make the comment from being on the COVID response team that we've erred on the side of caution all the time because we knew there were children and people who would be vulnerable in the congregation. But one thing we always kind of struggled with was, well, what do the people really think? And we talked about surveying everyone, and that never really came to fruition. I don't know if there's a way to do this appropriately in Robert's rules, but is there a way for us to just take a ballpark while we've got this many people here about who would be in favor of mask optional versus not in favor? And to please be honest, because all of us on the COVID team would really find that information really useful, I think.
I think that's a great way to handle my motion, to find out what the consensus is.
Okay.
I see a big, I don't know what the word I want to say, discrepancy is that we sit in here with a mask on, but we go out and have coffee without a mask. And it's the same group of people. If we have something with food, we're just sitting all together without masks. So.
Jerry, did you have something?
Yeah, sorry. Hang on a sec. As Nancy has suggested and John agreed, the motion in front of us is non-binding, effectively, right? So I think it might serve as a good proxy for how the congregation feels about mask optional.
Helene?
My concern is that circumstances ebb and flow with public health problems, and there needs to be a process to manage it differently at points in time. And I felt that through the last few years. There have been times when I felt safe unmasked and times when I haven't. And I live in a community and with a husband whose life would be totally wrecked if we weren't sometimes very protective. That having been said, I think a lot of excellent points have been made, but I would prefer that we not have anything that's construed as binding, but that we have a commitment as a community to re-examine where we are now. And so I would actually like to hear what the clerk has written as the motion, as one part of what we're doing right now. Thank you.
I'm still working on that. Because I have not heard, I've heard a lot of talk about this, but I have not heard a motion that is complete.
John made a motion and then David amended it.
John made the motion to consider becoming mask optional. After that, I'm very confused.
I think that's basically it, right? We consider becoming mask optional. So then this vote can be an idea of where people are standing. Then we can go back to the COVID response team and make appropriate changes.
I have a comment on the chat. I just
Thank
want
you.
to add so that we get everyone's voice. Pam Oliver says, a comment. Number one, mask optional makes church services less safe for the vulnerable. And number two, some people are not attending church because they find the indoor groups to be unsafe, even with masks.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Pam.
Thanks for that nuance.
Oh, there's Ann.
Well, I love worship, and I just don't really partake in the food things right now because it would be extremely treacherous for me to navigate COVID. And I'm around people who are even more vulnerable. I would not come to church if it was mask optional unless the COVID team was involved in determining, what our metrics are. So a flat decision wouldn't work for me, and I'd be back on Zoom.
Okay, so beyond the motion, what I'm hearing is that COVID team needs to come back with metrics for going back to masking, non-optional, for when it would be appropriate to be mask optional, those kinds of things. Are we on the same page? Yeah, yeah. Okay, so Julia just suggested that we all close our eyes and vote so that we can
They're COVID response team members who just want to stand. And
yeah, if
take
you're
a
on the
peek.
COVID response team and you could come and help eyeball this, that would be fantastic.
Are we voting on the motion or voting on our opinion?
I think we're voting on the motion, which is to consider becoming mask optional. Is that correct? So do opinion first? Is that what we want to do first? Okay, opinion first.
I just want to point out that if the motion is to consider becoming mask optional, that's what the COVID response team has been doing for several of our last meetings. So that's not a significant change to our current business.
Thank you. Okay, let's do you have one more thing to say?
I'm comfortable with the motion being changed or, to the point that we take a survey of who is here and online that wants to reply and get a feeling for what everybody wants to do. And then the COVID response team takes that into consideration in making the decision.
Okay. Can we amend the motion?
Perfect.
Okay. Yes.
I'll second that amendment.
Second that amendment. Thank you. Okay. Close our eyes? No. Okay. Okay. All right. All in favor? Let's raise our hand. Oh, sorry. All in favor of?
This is not a formal vote.
You read the motion? The motion read to us again.
Okay. We amended the motion to be more opinion, right?
Okay. We have to adopt the amendment. The proposed amendment is going to be that the COVID response team will consider becoming mask optional. No, what is the proposed amendment? Can somebody state it in one? I would like to hear the motion stated clearly, please.
I believe the amended motion is that we take a straw poll, an opinion poll, and that the COVID response team will consider the results of the poll in their decision-making process.
John, is that? I agree. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Yes, so we're voting on that amendment as a motion, not the straw poll at this moment.
Okay. All in favor? It's been seconded, right? Yes. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? So then the motion passed, the amended motion passes. Is that what I say? Okay.
Straw
So now
poll.
we do a straw poll. Okay. Would be,
Why can't we
yeah. So all in favor of mask?
Wait, hold on. Sarah has a.
I don't feel like this is necessarily a binary choice, so I would like there to be yes, no, and something like either abstention or I really care about the vulnerable members of this congregation and I would defer more to them than, because I hate the masks. I really hate them. I don't want to wear them. But I remember having COVID last month, and I remember being very glad that I had worn a mask in certain settings. So this is a really complicated issue. I think it's beyond yes and no. So let's at least make sure that there's a third abstention if people are feeling on the fence.
Okay.
While I respect the democratic process, it strikes me that what we're doing here doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. We have a COVID response team that's been charged with protecting the interests of all members of the congregation. They are functioning in that regard. They have been considering whether or not to remove the mask requirement. I'm not sure that they should or shouldn't be influenced by a straw poll of the members. I think we've selected those people and they volunteered to provide their expertise about this disease, which we have largely licked but haven't completely licked yet. And I think, I'm not sure what purpose this serves. I'm not comfortable with telling the COVID response team exactly how they should do their business. I think it's been a fruitful discussion. I think we've got some things out on the table. I think it's been instructive for the members of the COVID response team, but I'm not certain even what doing a straw poll will really mean. You know, it's kind of like when you're in a debate situation and someone has a heckler's veto. Are we going to let the COVID response team perform its function as it was understood they would? Or are we going to try and override that? I'm not fond of wearing masks. My glasses fog up. I have to lower my mask when I'm in a group in order to be heard. We did Job on Jesus this morning. I had to take my mask down in order to be heard over the OWL Zoom. So it is cumbersome, but I have a father who's 94 years old. Sometimes I visit the facility where he lives. I would like a little bit of assurance that I'm not, potentially risking infecting other people. My wife has worked in a grocery store ever since the pandemic began. Out of respect for the people in that grocery store, I wear a mask every time I go in because they don't have a choice. They're exposed to everyone who comes in 24/7. So I don't know, I don't mean to filibuster here, but I do have a serious question about why we're taking this vote if we have a committee that is tasked to do the very same thing that this vote is telling them. And I'm not sure what the ultimate point of the vote is. If someone could explain that to me, I'd be happy.
Kim, do you still want to make a comment?
Our Christmas Eve service one of the services was mask optional. Perhaps someone on the team could explain how they were able to make that choice for that service, and that might bring some understanding to the process.
May we hear from all who had their hand up first? There were one or two more. But we could bring up that question, Kim, in a moment. Joyce?
We could go back to our ancient history with the Mennonites where, we had you lined up on where you stood on a spectrum. Those who really, really want to continue with the mask can go over that side. Those who really, really want to get rid of them go on that side, and the middle is you're on the spectrum someplace.
I just want to address Kim's question. It was actually, I think, Hal, Julia, and I had an emergency meeting to talk about the Christmas Eve service. And I think where we landed was because there were 2 services, and that you could choose to opt in to whichever one you felt most comfortable. And for the ease of the kids performing, and the kids also not being masked at school, like there were just all these kind of things that snowballed into a place that made it feel like we could do mask optional for the 4 o'clock service, the kids service.
As a member of the COVID response team, I think it would be helpful to get, and it doesn't have to be raising hands, but to get just a little bit of a voice vote to get some guidance. On the team, we have someone from the choir, we have the pastoral staff, we have people who have varying constituencies. We've got a pretty good sized medical contingent. I'm the token lawyer. But I think it really would be helpful for me, and I sort of think maybe for the other members, just to get sort of to just hear a voice vote as to whether or not people feel like it would be appropriate from their own point of view to be mask optional, knowing it's not binding and that the team will be reviewing it when we meet soon.
Okay, any other? So now we need to vote on the amended motion, correct? I mean, we adopted it, but we need to vote on that though, right? Which is,
We passed the amended motion that included the idea of
taking it to COVID team.
the straw poll.
Okay, so
We've got to take the straw poll.
So now's the straw poll. Okay. Okay. All right. So all in favor of did you have another?
Can we do that by a show of hands?
By a show of hands. Add that to the motion, is that what you're saying? Yeah. Oh, then I will do by show of hands, please.
I'm sorry, I just feel like Sarah's concern needs to be addressed also.
Oh, yes or
She
no?
mentioned that this may not be an yes or no. If you would rather, I don't know.
We can do yes, no, abstain. Let's do it that. I think that will be the easiest. So all in favor of mask optional, raise your hand. Consider taking this to the COVID team, considering.
Could you please hold them high?
13 over here. Plus 13 on this side, Jim.
I just think the way that was just articulated is confusing. As I understand it, the straw poll is, are you in favor of mask option?
You're right.
or are you not?
You're right.
Not whether you're in favor of us considering.
Right.
So this is people in favor of mask option.
In favor of mask optional. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, David.
Plus 11.
Okay. All those opposed to mask optional?
And you're going to ask the choir to sing wear a mask at all times, correct?
No. Plus 8.
And all those who wish to abstain?
Plus 7.
Okay.
Okay, in favor, we have 30. Opposed, we have 24 with 14 abstentions.
Do I need to do anything more?
So thank you to our COVID response team for taking it from here and for just handling a really complex, culturally, medically, communal issue. So thank you all for your patience and your trust of the COVID response team. And thank you, Barb, for fielding this discussion.
I don't know. Okay. Now we move into a time for questions about 2022. And to get that started, I want to invite Nancy Wetterston up to give us an update on the Associate Pastor Search Committee.
You meant to say 23, I think. Oh, just
Yeah, reviewing 22. Any questions about me?
Hi. I just want to quickly say a big thanks to my co-workers on the committee, Susan, Suzanne, Jerry, Kristen, Josie, and Josie. I don't know that we anticipated when we took on the task of being the search committee for the Associate Pastor for Children, Youth, and Families position, that it would be going the way it has been. I know Julia says usually they take 2 years. I think we were optimistic thinking it would take much less. But we do continue to work on this search, and we've had applications, pastoral profiles from applicants. We understand that because this is an associate pastor part-time position, they're not droves of people who want to come. We have learned not to take this personally, that it's not a black mark on ORUCC, that we're a wonderful church, but that a lot of people who are looking for pastoral positions are looking for full-time senior pastor positions. Having said that, we are currently interviewing, meeting with, discerning a pretty promising candidate. And so I really can't say more than that right at this point, but I'm hoping that we will have more news to share with you all in the next month or two. Yeah, Jill, your name tag said, oh yeah, I see it, yes, Jill.
Can you say that is for the part-time position?
Yes. So I hope to stand in front of you in a month or two, and yeah, Ken.
What percentage is it? Is it half-time, two-thirds,
It's
three-quarters?
two-thirds. It's two-thirds time.
Two-thirds, thank you.
Yeah.
Is this a man or a woman?
I'm not going to answer that question right now. Yeah.
Is it a requirement at this stage in the procedure that it be a pastor?
We have only been considering pastors, yes. We did, the search committee did at one point approach the leadership team with a question about whether we would expand our search to include those not ordained, those not yet ordained, and the direction we received from the leadership team when we met with them late last summer was that at least for the time being they wanted to continue to consider only those who are either ordained within the UCC or eligible for ordination within the UCC, and the candidate we're talking with fits that criteria. Thanks, Sally. Jerry?
Nancy, I just wanted to thank you in front of this group for your leadership, because one of my trepidations about joining this committee was that there would be endless, tedious meetings. There's some tedium involved in this process, but you've been excellent at guiding us through that, and I just wanted to lift that up for everyone to hear.
Oh, thanks, Jerry.
Thank you, Nancy. Are there any other questions about 2022 to discuss? I'll invite John back up to talk about this year's proposed budget.
And it was good that Nancy preceded me, because then you can think about the fact that how do you make a budget when you don't know who's going to be on the staff? So what we did was we assumed, and I think rightfully, that for the next 6 months we will have several people doing the job of the associate pastor without having that person in staff, and then we've assumed that in the middle of next year we will have a new person, and we've just said, okay, how much is that going to cost? We'll just assume that it's half of what we paid in 2022. Those are huge assumptions. They all could be wrong, and we don't know. So as a result, our budget for next year is a lot of guesswork, and it is what it is. A couple of things, though, to note. One is that we felt that it was important to give the existing staff a 3% raise. It certainly doesn't cover cost of living. We know what's happened with inflation. This covers at least a part of it. A lot of people don't get any raises at all. This is 3%. It's something. Second of all, just in terms of spending, we've cut areas that we can. We've actually kept spending almost the same proposed as what we proposed last year, which is something. But we had a shortfall in pledges. If you look at the fine detail on page 30, our pledges for 2022 were about $446,000. For 2023, they're shy, a little bit less than that, $623. There's a reason for that. The stewardship drive was successful. A lot of people increased their pledges, but we lost pledges. We actually lost 14 pledges totaling over $38,000. These are people who are no longer pledging. It's not like they dropped their pledges. That hurts. That hurts a lot. We did have 21 new people pledge of around $25,000. So as you can see, most of the change there was at least made up with people increasing their pledges. So that's good. That's a good thing, but we need more people to pledge. So recruit your neighbors. Maybe if we offered tote bags or something, we'll see. That's pretty much what it looks like. Like I said, we're projecting a deficit for next year of around $10,000. We can cover that with savings and things like that, but we also don't know what the actual total spending for next year is going to be. So that's what we're going to try for. Questions? And if you have detailed questions, I would recommend just giving me an email or anything like that. General questions, though? Seeing none, we probably need a motion to accept this budget. I know we need a motion to accept the budget.
Who moved?
Mary? And second?
Second.
Lots of seconds. Okay. I think, Barb, you need to preside.
Yeah. Any discussion or questions? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? The budget is approved. Thank you, John. Thank you so much for... Incredible work navigating the unknown. Thank you. Okay, before we get to this video that Hal sent to us about nominations, I want to make a late add to the slate of nominees. Steve Pearson will be joining the Adult Faith Formation Ministry team. And now here's Hal.
I'm Hal Evanson. I'm the incoming moderator here at Orchard Ridge. I really apologize that I couldn't be here in person today. My wife and I are observing our 30th anniversary with a little getaway this weekend, and we planned this a long time ago. And so thankfully, Pastor Julia and Barbara graciously told me not to worry about it, but I will be looking forward to being back with everybody again in the near future. My first bullet point here today is to talk about the nominations process. We were successful. We brought on board new moderator-elect, Deanna Blanchard, and two new members of the leadership team. We have Sarah Hagan, who will be our liaison to congregational life, and Jarrett Gersten, who will be our liaison to the resources ministry. We also bulked up our financial secretaries pool. Appreciate that. We added Cindy Fillingame to the Ministry of Resources. And Christian Witness and Service, we have 3 new members. We have Luann Greiner, who has graciously agreed to serve as chair of that ministry, as well as Diane Doolin and Julia Lawrence. One thing that's been very nice about this process and us kind of coming back together here is that we've kind of rebooted the 2 ministries most affected by the pandemic, Youth Faith Formation. We've added both Marcia Beckett and Joanna Bellman-Doolin, so thank you very much to the 2 of you. And for Congregational Life, Barb Wells and Jane Geyer have graciously agreed to serve with that ministry. And I'll put out there that there is room for more on that ministry. Where Congregational Life, of course, kind of went into hibernation for a short time, and we're bringing them back. And many hands make light work there. And an adult faith formation. We also picked up 2 new volunteers there with Leslie Linser and Steve Pearson. So thank you to them as well. I would also like to acknowledge at this point that we have 3 people who are leaving the leadership team after several years of service. Kylie Boyd, for one. She was our Congregational Life liaison, and as we all know, Kylie is moving away. Chuck Casper has been serving as our resources liaison, a very valuable resource there. And John Lemke, he's our past moderator. He's reached the end of his 3-year term. We really benefit from John's wisdom and his good nature, and he's very willing to put in the work. And so all the best to you, John. And thank you very much to you and to all the volunteers. Thanks.
I want to echo Hal's gratitude to all who serve in so many ways at ORUCC. Thank you to the members who are continuing on your terms on various teams, and thank you to our new members for saying yes to the call to serve. I need a motion to approve the nominations report. Oh, Ken.
Without naming the names, I also want to acknowledge the 5 ministries and those who have served sometimes as long as 4 years, 2 terms on the various ministries. So thanks to all of you who are stepping off of those 5 ministries.
Helene? Oh, a motion to approve the slate of nominees. Helene, thank you. A second? Ruthann? Thank you. Any questions? Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? The nominations report is approved. Hal has made us another video about what he's looking forward to as being your new moderator.
I'm very much looking forward to serving as moderator in 2023. I thank you for the trust you've put in me, and with the strong team around me, I have faith that we will be able to serve you well. I don't know what 2023 will hold, but you can get a sense of things and how it might go from reading our annual report. I encourage you all to read it. It's quite inspiring. It's like the world's longest Christmas letter. But I find it inspiring, and not in a pat ourselves on the back kind of way, but as an illustration of what we can do here as a congregation. We care for each other, and we do God's work in the world. One read-through of the annual report sums that up well. There's such a variety of how we do this. We're helping our kids learn to be peacemakers. We had a van donation. The immigration justice team's actions. We host a welcome back barbecue in September. We hosted the housing summit just recently. This aligns with our Heart Room and other activities our church has done to address the need of housing in our community. And beyond this, that there are other things that our members are doing in the world that are inspired by what goes on here. And they're not reported, but they're more examples of how we as a congregation strive to look after each other and to do God's work in the world. This is truly inspiring. As I've prepared these past few months to take on this role as moderator, one theme that has emerged as I've talked to people is not exactly poetic. It's like, what is leadership team exactly? And what are they, or what are we, supposed to be doing? I'll tell you that clarifying this and making transparent what we do is one of my top priorities. But my reason for doing this is that I see our main role in leadership is to facilitate, to help the congregation do the work of caring for each other and doing God's work in the world. To do that, we in leadership need to be visible, accessible, and receptive as leaders to hearing from everyone. Because we all of us here have a part to play and a contribution we can make to the larger life and work of the church. And it is all important. I hope that our leadership group will grow into a collaborative team who takes on a shared leadership responsibility for our congregation. And again, will help it to look after each other and to do God's work in the world. Truly, the future is something we're creating. I look forward to creating it with you in 2023.
Thank you to Hal for the extra effort in getting those videos to us. It's really helpful. And now I want to move into a closing prayer. Hal sent this for a new year, adapted from a blessing by John O'Donohue, which is a book Hal received earlier on leadership team from former moderator Kathy Borkowski. May this new year excite our hearts, kindle in our minds a creativity to journey beyond the old limits of all that has become wearisome. May this year challenge us toward new frontiers that will emerge as we begin to approach them, calling forth the full force and depth of our undiscovered gifts. May God's work fit the rhythms of our souls, enabling us to draw from God new ideas and a vision that will inspire. God, help us to endeavor to remain aware of the quiet world that lives behind each face. Grant us the grace of encouragement to awaken the gifts in each other's hearts, building in us the confidence to follow the call of our gifts. May we come to know that which emerges from the mind of love will have beauty and form. God, may your work challenge and refine us. May your love calm and sustain us, bringing us every day closer to your promised land. Amen. Amen. And do I have a motion to adjourn this meeting? Doug. And a second? Sarah, thank you. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? The meeting is adjourned. Thank you.